So tonight I'm delighted to have Brittney Narcisse. Brittney had come to our seminars and classes over the last couple of months, and she has a whole career in social activism. So I'm delighted to have her give a presentation on housing and homelessness in New York City. So without further ado, welcome.
All right. Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Brittney Narcisse. A great honor to be here to share this with you, because I'm sure you all have the same interest and passion just like I do. So thank you for all being here. Situational poverty. It usually falls under situational poverty. And this population needs minimal attending services such as a job placement and housing assistance to regroup and then eventually find housing and a stable living environment. So generational poverty is this pertains to a family who has been in poverty for at least 2 generations. So the obstacles that contribute to generational poverty are little to no educational attainment or work histories. So if you have trouble, it's those who have difficulties, who haven't graduated high school, or are more likely to experience generational poverty than someone who has a college degree, or domestic violence, mental illness, substance abuse. And it's also believed that those who undergo generational poverty, there's a cycle of hopelessness. So this population does have a greater needs and challenges to overcome homelessness. Most of the current programs fall short in serving long-term needs of individuals facing generational poverty. So, the homelessness programs that are often provided are expected, the people that take advantage of these services, they're expected to find a job and to find a place to stay, but they're not given, additional job training or a certain education, to find a stable job. Therefore, stable housing. Housing and job placement is seen as a priority, but not educational attainment and career training development. So there are 3 types of homelessness. So we have the situational or transitional, which is usually short term. This is when an individual or family is forced into homelessness under uncontrollable circumstances such as job loss, eviction, divorce. And then you have the episodic cyclical homeless. Those are those who constantly come in and out the homelessness system. They either have or most face some type of mental disorder or are drug abuse. Then you have those who are chronically homeless, or those who are individual or families who have experienced homelessness for over a year. This may be due to lack of the social support that is needed, or their inability to modify the situation without the support of others. So there's a documentary called Dark Days, directed by Mark Singer, and he examines the day in the life of a homeless community living in the New York City subway system. Discuss homelessness. What is homelessness? The factors that contribute to homelessness, the types of poverty, the types of homelessness, the brief history of the homelessness in New York City. Okay, so homelessness. Textbook definition is a condition in which someone does not have a regular or consistent dwelling. And you can be considered homeless even if you're staying with somebody, because you could always at one point overstay their welcome, and eventually you'll have to be put out anyway. So homelessness is somebody who does not have a consistent dwelling or consistent place to live. So there are 2 factors that may contribute to homelessness. Mind if I turn this off? Yeah, but a lot of homelessness programs have, they base their housing readiness based on the quality of sobriety. So, you know, we'll help you find housing, we'll help you find a stable place to stay under the condition that you know, meet certain requirements. The number of homeless New Yorkers sleeping each night in municipal shelters is now 71% higher than 2002 when former Mayor Bloomberg took office. So research shows that the primary causes of homelessness, particularly among families, is lack of affordable housing. So families have identified the following major immediate triggering causes of homelessness, such as eviction, doubled up or severely overcrowded housing, domestic violence issues, and hazardous housing conditions. So each night, thousands of unsheltered homeless people sleep on New York City streets, and there's no accurate measurement of New York City's unsheltered homeless population. And recent surveys are significantly higher than those that are reported. So the studies show that the large majority of street homeless New Yorkers are people living with mental illness and other severe health problems. And 4 out of these homeless New Yorkers are men. So as in other American cities, New York's unsheltered homeless population is concentrated in the central business district, Midtown, Manhattan, Penn Station, Radio City area, the financial district. It shows that nearly 60% of New York City's unsheltered population is in Manhattan. And African Americans and Latino New Yorkers are disproportionately affected by homelessness. 50% of the New York City homeless population, of the shelter residents, are African American. 31% are Latino, 8% are white, 1% are Asian, and 4% are of unknown race or ethnicity. And as you can see in this graph here, you can see from 1983, and that was considered a rough period. Only roughly like 12,000, 13,000 homeless people, and the number has skyrocketed to 53,270 270 people over the course of 30 years. Considering the many programs and services that are supposed to help homeless people get off the streets, the number has increased significantly. So this came from New York City Department of Homeless Services and HRA. The homelessness statistics under 4 mayors. So I see here that in June it was June '83 it was just 12,830, and then in January when Koch takes office it's 24,012, and in January 1990 when Dinkins takes office it's 20,000. So things improved when Koch was in office. In January 1994, when Giuliani takes office, the homelessness population went up to 23,526. And then when Bloomberg takes office, the population went up to 31,000. And then January 2013, when de Blasio takes office, it's at 50,135. Okay. The Institute of Poverty, Children, and Homelessness, they recommended Tier 3 housing for families who are experiencing difficulties moving out of the homelessness situation. There's Tier 1 housing, which is considered emergency shelter, which is like 30 days. And then there's the Tier 2 shelter system, which is from 2 months to a year to 12 months. So that is supposed to provide, additional social services so that they can get out of the homeless situation. But Institute of Poverty, Children, and Homelessness is recommending a Tier 3 housing for families who are experiencing homelessness for an extended period of time. So that's usually, they're proposing like a 2-year program you know, which includes like a housing community. It's like a supportive housing community where they're given educational training, job training, job assistance, job development, and housing placement. So, yeah. And I also mentioned repealing vacancy decontrol. And de Blasio, let's hope that he does something about homelessness. He mentioned safe, affordable housing for every New Yorker. So under his administration, de Blasio proposes to do the following. Build and preserve 200 affordable units throughout New York City. And he also mentioned, you know, trying to see if you can get those newly constructed units to be subsidized units to make it affordable for most New Yorkers. Work with state and federal partners to establish a new housing support program for families at risk of losing their homes or those who find themselves living on the streets. And reverse the Bloomberg administration's policy and make a portion of Section 8 vouchers and vacant NYCHA apartments available again to homeless families who are leaving shelter. So that sounds like a sound policy. And here are some resources to homeless individuals or to those in danger of homelessness. I actually work for a senior center, so I always encourage my seniors to see if they're eligible for the SCREE program. Which
You
is,
can tell the group what it is. It's
it's a senior citizen rent increase exemption program. All they just have to, it's actually sponsored by the Department of Finance. So it's just a matter of us filling out the application for them. They can either do that at my center, which is at Union Settlement, or they can go to Lenox Hill, where there's more case management support. And, you know, you're given additional paperwork to fill out, and, you know, this takes time to process, and, you know, it's just, for instance, one client of mine, she would have to pay almost $2,000 for her rent, but she only pays about $300, a little over $300, so.
Does the building that the person lives in have to be in a program or something, or is that any building in New York?
No, that's, well,
the
I
program.
think there's certain eligibility requirements for that particular individual,
Okay.
but that building is a privately owned building, so, and I don't think there was any additional requirements or any program.
So the landlord doesn't have to be part of a program in order
Well,
for.
the landlord is given the paperwork
Okay.
for that, you know, just, because I contacted the landlord to verify if she was in the program, and she was. The landlord has to know about it.
Brittney, thank you very much. You're an excellent
Yeah, thank you.